some news came out.
She looks creepy.
All right, hey, it's Wednesday evening, and here we are, the Screaming Room. We are not live tonight, though. This is a pre-recording, so sorry, chat. But we welcome you guys to still chat and talk and give your thoughts, and make sure you definitely comment after this upload so that we can actually respond to you. We've been pretty bad about it the last couple of weeks, but we're gonna be back on top of responding to stuff. I know, Kanan, you respond to everybody on your channel, but as far as the Screaming Room goes, I got to start responding more there. I just like reading the comments on Ghost Pirate and just laughing at them. Those are those are always fun. Yep. But anyway, here we are, because I have some things to do on actual Wednesday night. There's a chamber event going on, Chamber of Commerce event here, and I am a member, and so I like to participate in those things. And, so it's good for my business, and it's
So definitely let us know, though, like if you guys would rather us do a live like on a different day, or if you're good with the pre-recorded stuff. Like, we'd love feedback on that. It doesn't mean that's what we'll do, but we would love to hear like your guys' feedback, because you know, when like both of us, it's really difficult to always be available every single Wednesday at the exact same time. You know, that's just not feasible, especially, you know, as we get into October and stuff. I have a lot of traveling and a lot of things coming up too. So
we are officially in spooky season. Spooky season for me starts in September. I know a lot of people it starts in October, but
behind me, I'm all Halloweened out.
Great. My poster fell in the middle of the night. It woke me up.
Just one and only decoration.
I know, and now it's like I gotta like the friggin' thing. Like, look, it friggin' broke. And so I
is it a poster, or is it?
It's a poster frame? It's a movie. Well, it's for my short. It's for my short film. But it's it's like an actual. It's like a wooden frame. Like, it's a nice frame, and it just friggin' like just broke, fell down, scared the hell out of me in the middle of the night. Man,
it was all fuck you.
Yeah, I'm out. I know. So
I'm tired of hearing this.
So, well, I gotta put. I mean,
I'm sick of your opinions too.
I got a nice clean wall here, except for this little beach sign, which I'm going to take down. But I got a nice clean wall here. I got posters waiting to get hung up. So I just got to do them. It's just these frames that I buy. I guess they're just, I don't know. I guess they're heavy. So I gotta get better at hanging stuff so it doesn't break and fall. But anyway, we got some stuff. Pretty good. Well, so what I've been doing, so because it's spooky season, it is like I can only watch horror movies from now until Halloween. And I always like to get a big list. And I posted half of that list, or like the first third of that list, on Facebook. But this year, I'm actually going back to the 40s and 50s and watching a lot of the like old, you know, foundational horror movies, you know, and some of these I've not seen yet. I need to do that for the 70s. Like, the 70s is really my only era of horror besides foreign. But I don't care. And even if you watch a ton of foreign, there's never anybody that have seen every foreign horror movie. It's such a vast well. So there's a lot of it, especially
besides foreign. Like, there's a lot of giallo I haven't seen. There's you know, a lot of the Dark Castle movies, and you know, or not Dark Castle. So what's one I'm thinking of? The
Full Moon?
No, from the 70s. The Hammer.
Oh, Hammer
horror.
Hammer films.
Like, there's a lot of those I haven't seen, but those are hard to find streaming.
Well, like, they are unless you are a deviant like me and find Danish hosting sites that have all these things up there. I can send you a link if you want. But that's where I watch. I mean, because you cannot find early like giallo movies or stuff like that streaming. You can't find a lot of the real early stuff. Like, I had to look. Actually, I was surprised Black Sunday is on Amazon Prime for free. So you can watch Black Sunday and it's dubbed.
Tubi has started doing a really good job of putting those too. Like I've been able to, like the last year or so, see a number of them on Tubi. But
so the
one service that has like all the Hammer horror movies, but I forget. It's like, is it Arrow? I don't know. There's so many streaming services now, and that's a big part of the problem.
I mean, yeah, streaming is now cable.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just cable all over again, you know.
Yeah.
So people have gone back to pirating because it's like
what I do like though is that you can customize it a lot more than you could cable. And there's a ton of free ones. I mean, like, you know, people bitch and moan about commercials, but if you don't mind commercials, like you can watch a ton of stuff on Prime for free. You can watch Freevee completely for free. You can watch Tubi, Crackle. You know, there's quite a few movies that are on Peacock that you can watch free.
Well, and there's new streaming
a lot
services.
Of free stuff.
There's new streaming platforms popping up every day too that have like independent movies and stuff like that on. But I in particular, like I said, I'm doing a little time traveling and going way back. Like Taste of Fear is one that I'm excited to watch. Multiple Maniacs.
Never heard of that one. What are these from? I haven't even heard of those two.
So Multiple Maniacs is from John Waters.
Oh, okay.
That came out in 1970.
1950s? Oh,
no,
okay.
No,
I think you're talking about 50s movies.
Well, I am. So
yeah, there's definitely John Waters movies I haven't seen.
So Taste of Fear is let me pull up 61 is 61. But there's like I just watched Bride of Frankenstein.
Oh, I love that. It's one of my all-time. You hadn't seen that one?
I had not seen Bride of Frankenstein.
Yeah, I even have the VHS of it back here somewhere.
So I'm going to watch.
It's the best. I honestly think it's better than Frankenstein.
Well, so what I had done, there's some that I watched Dracula. I watched.
Have you seen I watched the
Mummy,
the Spanish version of Dracula? Definitely watch that. It was all shot on the same set, but it's actually a surprisingly different movie. It has the same story and the same set, but yeah, it's a different cast. They're all Latino, and it's very different. Like I was able to go to this cool screening one time at a theater near me that was doing a special thing where you watch the first, Bela Lugosi Dracula, and then immediately after you take a little break and then go right back in and watch the Spanish Dracula. And it's good, man. I think it's a better movie. I think it's creepier. Oh. Yeah, it's really cool. But it's funny how they did it because they had to shoot it at night. So in the daytime, they were shooting the Bela Lugosi version, and then when they would leave at night, they shot the Spanish version.
Oh,
that's
cool.
where they'll pull it off. Yeah.
So, I had not seen Bride of Frankenstein, and the special effects in that movie are incredible.
Yeah.
For the time, I was like, wow, this is great. The one thing that I had been noticing, so like I said, I had gone back and I watched Dracula, I watched The Mummy, and both of those are rewatches. I've seen those before. Wolfman, Invisible Man, all these movies.
Wolfman is my favorite.
From the 40s and 50s, like I've been noticing a trend. They all just end. Yep. Like they don't have endings. And it was one of those
things. There's not like a big climax, like it's just kind of
right.
Like they didn't know how to end.
Right.
It's over.
So in Bride of Frankenstein, I'm waiting for the bride to show up. I'm just waiting. And finally, when they're bringing her to life, I checked the time. I was like, how much time is left on this thing? There's like 10 minutes of the movie left.
Yep.
And I was just like, wait a minute.
But it's such an iconic, like that last 10 minutes of it are so good. Like she is incredible in it. Such a great performance. Like I just think it's a better movie. I think it looks better. There's a better story, a more interesting layered story. The Wolfman is my favorite of all the Universals because I think it has the best story of all the Universals.
Yeah, it's tragic.
Yep.
But
Lon Chaney's performance is really, really good. Because it's like a lot of those movies felt like the acting was still performance, like they were in a play. You know, they hadn't learned how to act yet. But there's
Right.
these certain roles, and like Lon Chaney's one of them, that it feel like you could feel his pain. He's, you know, there's more emotion from his performance than a lot of other performances you saw back then. So
Right. Yeah, no, it's Wolfman's great. The Invisible Man's great. I mean, like there's a lot of these. I mean, The
yeah,
Fly.
Invisible Man, I think is surprised. The Fly is incredible. The
Yeah,
original one is so good. And
it's
like
very
it's
good.
so tragic. I mean, of course, Cronenberg's Fly is, you know, an
It's
all-timer,
also a tragedy,
but
yeah, but it's also fucking terrifying.
yeah,
But
but that
but the
original
original Fly,
Fly,
yeah.
like, it gets looked over and it's really good. The one that is so good and nobody talks about is Invasion of the Body Snatchers, the original one.
That's
It's
also
so
on my
good.
list. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
also on
it's
my
so
list. The
good.
Blob is on
Yeah,
my list.
original as well.
Yeah, so I'm going back and
Every version of the Blob is actually really good in like a different way.
yeah,
Like they're
I
all
have noticed
slightly
that.
different, but so what
Uh
is our news? What's our
well,
news
our
for the day?
news, sorry, let me bring this up. So our news is uh oh no, I didn't mean to open up DaVinci. Crap. All right. So the first bit of news that we
Professional
have,
YouTubers over here.
we know exactly what we're doing, folks. Um our first piece of news here is Last Drive-In with Joe Bob Briggs is renewed for a 7th season at Shudder. So that's good. This is from Bloody
Yeah,
Disgusting.
they just did their 6-year celebration thing this past Friday night. It just
Yeah.
is now available to stream on Shudder, but 6 movies, man. Like they did an all-night marathon of 6 movies. I still need to watch the rest of it. Like I love that they do it live and you can watch it live and you can tweet with them while they're airing all their episodes. But then it's
Yeah.
also up to watch, you know, because I can't, you know, Friday night sometimes I can't just sit there and watch it. So,
Right.
but yeah, they're
Yeah.
amazing. Like I love what they do over there. I got
Oh,
to
it's a
meet
great
them
show.
too at a
Oh
Midsummer
God,
Stream a couple
I'd
weeks
love to meet
ago.
him.
Yeah,
I would
they're
love to meet him.
so nice, man. They're like
Oh, I'm
they're
sure.
just walking the floor. Like they didn't have a booth or anything like that. They were just walking the floor, meeting people. It was really
That's
cool.
awesome. So from Bloody Disgusting, um, ahead of the Last Drive-In a night marathon, which wraps up the 6th season on Friday, as we just talked about, Joe Bob Briggs has announced
Yep.
the Last Drive-In's been renewed again. Last Drive-In will return for a 7th season on Shudder. On Last Drive-In, Joe Bob, the world's foremost drive-in movie critic, hosts eclectic horror movies, talking about their merits, histories, and significance to genre cinema. This Friday, this article's a couple days old. Friday, August 30th, Joe Bob and trusty right hand Darcy the Mail Girl bring a few surprise guests to stay up all night to party like jungle animals for the Last Drive-In night marathon, Dust Dawn marathon event celebrating 6 years, 6 seasons with 6 killer movies, just like the devil intended. So that's our news.
But like I said, it's available to
Twitter.
stream on demand on Shudder or if you have A&E Plus.
So we'll be able to see that. And
yeah, my only problem with their show is they need to bring back the silver bolo. Because it was like a big goal of mine to win a silver bolo, and then they did away with it. I have like a number of friends who got silver bolos, and I'm like, man, I never got a chance to get one.
But yeah, so that's really good. And that also, like, it makes me wonder, like, who is the next curator of horror films, you know, after Joe Bob?
Like a young version.
Yeah, like once he can't do it anymore, which is going to be years and years and years. So we have time to wait. But like, who is going to be that up and coming, curator of horror films to watch? Or is
right
that
now?
YouTube?
I would say James A. Janice. Like it is going to be a YouTuber. Like there's no question. But I would say right now it's probably James A. Janice of Dead Meat. Like, he's done more and more. He's definitely the biggest figure as far as that goes in the horror industry right now. Because I would say he's got an even bigger platform than Joe Bob at this point.
Yeah.
So it's some more about what direction he'll go. Because I also could see them, him and his wife going more into behind the scenes and producing movies and being involved in movies, as well as they both want to act. So that's the only thing I could see that would pull him away from from being that host. But yeah, you're right. I mean, it's got to continue. And but I do think it will be probably a YouTuber.
Yeah, that's kind of where the future of it's going,
Yeah.
So that's that. Next piece of news we have is Wolf Creek Legacy. John Jarrett will return as Mick Taylor in the franchise reboot. This is again from Bloody Disgusting. After two movies,
I don't think this is a reboot if it's casting him. That's why I don't understand that it says reboot, because it's the same actor playing the same role.
Maybe we will read about it. After 2 movies and 2 seasons of a television series, Outback murderer Mick Taylor will return in Wolf Creek Legacy, being billed as a reboot of Greg McLean's horror franchise. Deadline reports creator Greg McLean is back to reignite the franchise as a producer, while John Jarrett, who plays Outback serial killer Mick Taylor, returns to the lead role. The site's exclusive report continues. Resident Evil producer Jeremy Bolt is newly aboard, as is Sean Laheef as director. Laheef was editor on Wolf Creek 2, so knows his way around the franchise. Kristen Molieri from Babadook and Bianca Martino also produce. Here's the plot. This time around, it's a family of American tourists who wander innocently into Taylor's hunting grounds. When the parents sacrifice themselves to save their children, the kids find themselves alone, lost, and hunted in the vast Australian wilderness. Will this fresh prey, 2 wily, resourceful Zoomers, prove harder for the aging predator to consume? I guess we'll see. The cast for Wolf Creek Legacy will include Jay Ryan from It Chapter 2. Greg McLean said in a statement, "I've always believed in the power of fresh perspectives. And that's why I'm thrilled to introduce Sean Laheef as the director of Wolf Creek Legacy. Sean isn't just stepping into this world, he's been a part of it for years. This new chapter in the Wolf Creek saga is something I'm incredibly excited about. It's a bold new story that honors the roots of the franchise while pushing it into new, uncharted territory." Director Sean Laheef adds, "I aim to deliver the horror and suspense that fans of the Wolf Creek franchise and wider genre theater goers expect, but to add a new depth to the story. We're exploring the psychological terror of being hunted, the fear and resilience of these young characters, and the nightmarish quality of the Outback itself. This is a story that will keep audiences on the edge of their seats, but it will also tap into something deeper, the primal fears that dark fairy tales have always played on." So that's what they're saying.
I mean, I think it's going to be good. Like I would, like, if you're a fan of, because both of them were good. They're both good movies. The first 2.
Yeah.
And it's really because of his performance. Like it's dude, he's terrifying. I just don't understand how or why it's a reboot. Like, if you're still casting the same lead, that'd be like rebooting Nightmare on Elm Street and still having
Robert Englund.
Thank you. My brain just totally farted out. Having Robert Englund still be Freddy. Like, why? How is it just not a sequel? And why not just do a sequel?
Right. I don't know. I guess I don't know what constitutes as a reboot versus a sequel. Because
especially calling it Legacy.
Yeah. Does time have to, certain amount of time have to pass? I mean, before it's, you know what I mean?
Because doesn't Legacy sound like the name of a sequel?
It sounds like a sequel. Yeah.
I just almost wonder if they worded it wrong, because possibly like a translation issue, sort of, even though they speak English. Aussies, say things slightly different. And so what they're saying is a reboot might be more of what we consider a requel.
Yeah.
Well,
I was going to say
or a legacy sequel, like whatever you want to call it. But, where it's a sequel, it is technically in the same universe. It's just revamping it and bringing it in, like reigniting it.
Well, I wonder, because you brought up Robert Englund as Freddy, if that would make it a sequel or a reboot. If they were to reboot Friday the 13th, like, there's been so many actors that have portrayed Jason. If they were to bring back one of those actors, would it then be a reboot or a sequel?
Well, they have a mask on, though. Like, if they were to recast Kane Hodder, I mean, it doesn't even matter. You could do it as a sequel, or you could do it as a reboot, whatever, because he's behind a mask.
You think
This
that's
is
what it is?
different
It's a mask?
because I mean, this is what this guy looks like. You know, like I mean, they're not. He's not playing a new character either. It's literally. So
No, you're right.
I think it's a requel or a legacy sequel. I think they just simply kind of misworded it and said a reboot.
Just started calling it a reboot. Yeah, you're probably right.
Yeah.
Well,
Otherwise,
anyway.
because I either way, I think more than likely it's going to be good because of like it's the guy that's directing it was the editor, so it's it's not going to be that much different than the first two movies. It's still it's kind of like what happened with Saw.
Well, who's writing it? That's what I would be curious to know. Let me just look that up since we are recording.
I just don't think it'll be that much different because like no matter who the writer is, because you still have the same lead, he's going to perform that role the same. That's why you bring him back.
Yeah,
and
but I
he's
think
really what made those movies vicious and made them what they were.
I mean, but I think the writing does matter. I mean, just because he's playing the same character and he's the same actor, if he's written differently, he's going to have to act the way that he's written.
He wouldn't.
So if the writing's bad,
I just don't think there'll be a ton of writing in this. Is kind of
Duncan,
like the type of movie is like.
Yeah, Duncan Samarasinge. I think that's how you pronounce his name.
Yeah, and was he involved in the first two?
No, and he hasn't written anything. He's written Natural Selection, which was a TV short back in 2006. And he is now the writer of Wolf Creek Legacy. Like that's literally his IMDb.
Yeah.
So
that to me says exactly what I'm saying. There isn't a ton of story to this. It's basically going to do exactly what the first two movies did, where you get introduced to these characters, you know basically nothing about them. They run into Mick Taylor and they get fucked. They're hunted. Like that's literally, these movies, none of them had much, like the first few, neither of them have a lot of story to them. I haven't seen the series though.
I haven't seen the series
either. But I know the same people that are doing this were also involved in the series, and I've heard it was just as bleak and dark and disturbing as the movies. So I just haven't seen it. But either way, I'm we'll see. I've never been a huge fan of. I mean, I think that the character of Mick is incredible, but I just don't. I've never been like a huge fan of the movies because there isn't a lot of story to them. Like, I think they're cool, but I wouldn't put beyond just being very cool.
The first movie came out in 2005, almost 20 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Well, anyway, so that's our news. There's not a lot of news coming out.
Was there a trailer? Was there any trailers?
There's a couple of trailers. Let me pull Bloody Disgusting back up because they
and then Jurassic World.
Oh right, Jurassic World. Let me bring that up.
And we actually have a first look. So while you bring this up, I am not looking forward to this. I am not excited about this. The Jurassic World franchise has literally broken my heart and then shit and pissed on it. The last movie in particular, like I wasn't a big fan of the two prior to that. Like any of the Jurassic World movies, I haven't loved. But bringing back the legacy characters and then doing what he did with them in that last movie, and it's the movie that was promising us we would finally get to see dinosaurs in the regular world and interacting with people and like all hell breaking loose. Wasn't that at all? It basically, you saw a couple shots of dinosaurs and then they were right back to another island or reserve, whatever. It's just fuck, dude. And the whole bug bullshit, like that whole angle was awful.
I have not been interested in a Jurassic Park movie since the second one.
Yeah.
Like I saw Jurassic World just to check it out because it'd been so long. Yeah. And I was like,
I got angry at that. I got angry at it because I was like, you're literally the exact same story as the first Jurassic Park. But they didn't have Steven Spielberg, so it doesn't have that same sense of wonder. And they were not as scary. Like,
no.
Like honestly, the only reason we're mentioning this is because of the original Jurassic Park 1, 2, and 3.
Right.
You know, because those had horror elements in them. But these Jurassic World movies, none of them have had any horror to speak of.
They're action adventure movies.
Yeah. They're not dark at all. Like, it's just like, I'll never forget seeing Jurassic World 2 in theaters and how much that movie scared me.
Yeah.
Like the whole scene with the
Jurassic Park.
no, 2, the second one. The first
Right,
one scared me, but the second one was even scarier. The second one was even more of a horror movie.
Right. I thought you said
Like
Jurassic
the whole
World 2.
Oh, no. Jurassic Park 1, 2, 1 and 2.
Right,
1, 2, and 3. 3 was kind of but 1 and 2 were really good. I mean, 1 is like one of the greatest, you know, sci-fi horror adventure movies ever made. So
yeah, I agree. So from Bloody Disgusting, we're sharing, right? Yes, we are. Jurassic World Rebirth is the official title of next year's Jurassic World movie, and then we're going to see some images. Again, from Bloody Disgusting.
They're literally just titling it Jurassic Park Reboot.
Yeah.
Like, that's basically what that is.
The next installment of the Jurassic World franchise has received an official title, with Universal announcing Jurassic World Rebirth will release in theaters July 2nd of next year. We're going to look at the first 2 images and the title announcement video. Probably not going to watch that. Universal previews the action-packed, there we go, new chapter sees an intrepid team racing to secure DNA samples from the 3 most colossal creatures across the land, sea, and air. The full official plot synopsis was announced 5 years after the events of Jurassic World Dominion. The planet's ecology has proven largely inhospitable to dinosaurs. Those remaining exist in isolated equatorial environments with climates resembling the one in which they once thrived. The 3 most colossal creatures within that tropical biosphere hold the key to a drug that will bring miraculous life-saving benefits to humankind. Academy Award nominee Scarlett Johansson plays skilled covert operations expert Zora Bennett, contracted to lead a skilled team on a top secret mission to secure genetic material from the world's 3 most massive dinosaurs. When Zora's operation intersects with a civilian family whose boating expedition was capsized by marauding aquatic dinos, they all find themselves stranded on an island where they come face to face with a sinister, shocking discovery that's been hidden from the world for decades. Mahershala Ali is Duncan Kincaid, Zora's most trusted team leader. Emmy nominee and Oliver Award winner Jonathan Bailey plays paleontologist Dr. Henry Loomis. Emmy nominee Rupert Friend appears as Big Pharma representative Martin Krebs, and Manuel Garcia Rulfo plays Ruben Delgado, the father of the shipwrecked civilian family. The cast includes Luna Blaze, David Iacono, and Audrina Miranda as Ruben's family. The film also features as members of Zora and Krebs' crews Felipe Velgi, Beechir Sylvian, and Ed Screen. Words will be directing the new installment with original Jurassic Park writer David Koepp returning to write the screenplay. The next Jurassic World film will be executive produced by Steven Spielberg through Amblin Entertainment. Frank Marshall and Patrick Crowley will produce, and David Leitch and Kelly McCormick will also produce through 87 North. Executive Vice President of Production Development Sarah Scott and Creative Executive Production Development Jacqueline Garrell will oversee the project for the studio. And here we have some images.
My only, I do have a little bit of hope, because with the original director who they had, I was like, this is going to be another Jurassic World, just blah, right? But then they got Gareth Edwards. They basically fired that director. The word I heard was that he wanted to go in more of an action-y, like adventure-y kind of mode, and they wanted to go a little more darker and bring it closer to its roots. This is what I've heard. And that's when they brought in Gareth Edwards to direct it. And he's the guy that did Monsters and then Creator last year. So I think visually, like, because that's where he got his start, is as a visual effects artist. Like, he did all the effects himself in Monsters, his first movie. So my hope is that at the least this is going to look really epic and have that sense of wonder again. And his movies are pretty dark edged and stuff. So I'm hoping that they didn't just bring him on as like, here's what you're doing. We're just going to put you because you're a competent director, not because we want your style or any of that.
Right.
So And the images, it does look kind of darker. So,
I mean,
it has a great cast. I mean,
you can't glean anything. You can't really glean any that much from those. But yeah, no, the cast is good. I mean, Steven Spielberg is executive producing through Amblin, so I mean,
yeah.
he might have a hand in it
Well,
or finger, but
executive
I mean,
producing generally just means money.
Yeah, but I mean, if he wanted to, he could probably lend
Yeah.
a thought.
I think there's a possibility here. I think there's because they did get a lot of flack, even though the last 3 movies made a shit ton of money. That last movie in particular, people hated it. You know, it made a lot of money, but a lot of people hated it. And
yeah,
you know, so I don't know. We'll see. I don't expect it to be any good because I just don't have any faith in this franchise anymore. But it's possible. It's possible that we could, you know, get something. Because
anything's
otherwise,
possible.
why even make another movie if you're just going to do the exact same shit with it?
Because it made money.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying.
I mean,
hopefully, it's just not a cash grab.
Right? Yeah, hopefully. So all right,
They're
so that's
pumping it up pretty damn fast, though.
They are next summer.
Yeah,
right? That's
because
what
it was
next summer,
announced only a couple months ago. Like
Yeah.
they hired Gareth Edwards, like in what? I think it was like April or May. I think is when the report came out that they had hired Gareth Edwards. So, yeah, but we'll see. So, the topic at hand is Blumhouse and their new dumpster
God.
fire.
This.
So you start out like your thoughts.
Okay, so
we're talking about AfrAId. We're talking about AfrAId.
Yeah, this is AfrAId. This is that AI movie that came out from Blumhouse. I don't know how to review this film because
if you haven't seen it and you're wanting to see it, we both hated the movie. But we're gonna spoil the hell out of it now. We're just gonna talk about it. So if you haven't seen it and you're worried about spoilers or whatever, tune out. But
I just don't know how
I would not waste your money. And there's not even any really huge spoilers anyway that really matter. Like it's not enough meat on this story to have that. So, but yeah,
I don't know how you can.
Now.
I don't know how you can spoil this movie. Like I don't know how you can do it. There is no story.
They spoiled the movie is what happened because
there
were some good ideas here. There were some decent, like that first half, I was like, it's not great, but there are some cool ideas here. Maybe they could do something cool. And then they totally jumped the shark in that last act and it turned into an absolute dumpster fire.
The acting is atrocious.
No, the acting isn't that bad. Like, I think the acting is okay.
I don't know.
The dialogue, is what's the problem. I don't think it's the acting.
I don't think the actor. Okay, so I think everything suffered because of everything else. I think the acting suffered because of the writing. I think the writing suffered because of the directing. I think the directing suffered because of the writing. And so because nobody was good enough in this cast to be able to lift this script, which it's usually the other way around. Scripts usually lift up bad actors to make them seem good. Actors don't usually lift up bad scripts to make them seem good. Like Anthony
it's really hard.
Like, so
it's really hard for any actor, I mean, if this is what you got, this is what you got. And that's all I'm pushing back on is because these are really good actors. The cast is really, really good actors.
The plot of this
feel like what they had to work with did not work.
The plot of this movie. What's his name? The lead actor.
Is it Joe?
Yeah, I that's what I want to say, but I can't. I'm gonna just pull it up.
Hold on.
John,
I have it. John. John Cho. So it's got
John Cho.
It's directed by Chris Weitz, stars John Cho, Catherine Waterston, and Havana Rose Liu. Oh yeah, written and directed by Chris Weitz.
So
my biggest problem with this movie, beyond anything else, is the fact that it's called a horror movie. It's listed as a horror movie. This isn't even a thriller. There is nothing scary or really suspenseful at all. It's like a drama.
Yeah, but even the drama is just lost in
Yeah, it's
just how just silly it is.
okay.
And
Okay,
like,
so one of the bright spots though was that little boy. He's cute as fuck, especially that scene when he's sitting at the table and he's got his feet kicked up. Like that was cute as fuck. I'm like, dude, that little dude's adorable.
okay, yes, he is a cute little boy.
Yeah,
But that's where the praise of this movie ends. So the plot of this movie
yeah.
is John
Oh my
Cho's
god,
character.
that scene where he wakes up and he's all, "Mama." It's like the least acting I've ever seen in any movie. I'm like, how do you just keep that take? Like he literally opens his eyes, doesn't look sleepy or nothing, and just goes, "Mama, Mama, Daddy."
And
Like
then
it's like so fucking wooden, dude.
his non-internet radio just comes to life with the
Yeah.
AI. Anyway, so
Oh my god.
John Cho's character gets this uh client, this account to do marketing for them.
Yeah,
And
that's what I was gonna say.
it's
They're like a marketing firm or whatever, right?
yeah, he works at a marketing firm and he has to get this big account. And the account is this company that develops this AI, this in-home
Yeah.
AI similar to Alexa. And
Yeah, I was
they
gonna
want
say
to be
they're act. It's like it's like a Tesla meets Amazon like technology kind of company.
right. David Dastmalchian is in
Yeah,
this.
which I think he is so wasted in this.
Yes, he is
Like he gives the
absolutely wasted
weirdest
this movie.
performance, and it's just like
He had no idea.
nothing works in this. Nothing works
He
in it.
had no idea what he was doing. I'm pretty sure. I don't know who David Dust. I don't know what favor he owed whoever made this movie, but it didn't look like he knew why he was even in this movie, and I don't know either.
Well, it's kind of like the last year or so. He's done the whole like he's done um what god damn way. This is too early for me. My brain is not working right yet.
Sorry.
He's done the whole thing like you see a number of actors do where they'll take any part, like bad movies, good movies, tiny roles, bigger roles. Like he literally is just taking everything he can. And I think it's an extremely smart idea because he's on the map now. Like he is
Right.
talking, a lot of people talk about him. And before this last year and a half, uh, you know, I didn't even really know who David Dastmalchian was, but everybody knows now because I doubt you've seen a movie that's horror at all that hasn't had him in some level in it. But unfortunately, this is one of the ones where, like, I wouldn't say he doesn't know what he's doing. I feel like he's doing what he's asked to do, but it's just a really weird, badly written part. Like,
right.
it just doesn't work because David Dastmalchian is an incredible character actor. So like I never really want to put it on him.
No, I'm not putting this on David. No, not at all. No,
but like there's the whole weird shit where he's got this thing he's injecting himself and he's talking about biohacking, right? But then later on in the movie he's all because I got cancer and I'm dying. I'm like, well, then why did you say earlier on it was biohacking? Like there's so many things like that in this movie where there's like one half of the movie it says this, the second half of the movie it says and does something completely different. It's like almost like two different writers wrote two different halves of this movie.
No, Chris Weitz just wrote a movie and didn't get any feedback on it, didn't do any drafting, or if he did, just listened to all the bad feedback.
It feels like a first take draft. Like the whole movie, it feels like they just were rushed. Like it's I honestly don't blame anyone involved in this movie. I blame Blumhouse.
The idea
none of the ideas in this last year.
Ugh. Let me get through the plot.
Yeah.
Let me
go ahead.
Get through
Sorry,
the plot.
This movie just frustrates me.
I know this movie just sucks. I know. So sorry, I gotta close IMDb.
So David Cho's character.
So David Cho's character gets this account from these people that developed this AI. This is Alexa house system AI. And they want to be this like test family because they, the company wants them to experience the product, which malfunctions during their original test. When they first introduce, the box, it
what was the
malfunctions.
point of that?
I don't know. So they bring it into the home. It starts up, and right away, Aya, the name of this AI, starts being very helpful. She orders organic meal plans for the kids. She brings up this like point system for them to like do chores and like be good children, because these parents are like not very good parents. And so like she's doing this.
No,
This is great.
I wouldn't say
They're
they're not
not.
very good parents. They're just
They're not.
a little overwhelmed. Like, they got like they got one girl, and then a really rambunctious little boy who's like ADD little boy, and then the older boy who's like got crazy anxiety, and like, he's maybe on the spectrum. So I wouldn't say that, because everybody seems like they're good kids. They're just overwhelmed. Like the parents just seem over.
Yeah,
They're both both working a lot, and like.
But when they're given opportunities to parent, they don't. Like they're constantly just being like, please listen to us. And they don't ever actually parent their children. And then once
I feel like that was meant to be. I feel like that was meant to be kind of a statement on modern families. So it's not that they're bad parents. It's that parents don't know how to be parents anymore, because like everybody's so worried about being PC. I feel like that's the statement here. I'm not saying I exactly agree with that, but I feel like that's what it's saying, is like they're afraid to discipline their kids.
I think when it comes to that,
they're very much pushovers. Like the dad, like everything about them, like when the kid wants more video game time, like everything with them is very much pushovers.
Right. That doesn't mean you're a good parent. You can be overwhelmed. You can be whatever, blah, blah, blah. But if your kids are pushing you over, then you're not a very good parent. If you're getting pushed around by your kids, you're not a very good parent, especially in a 2-parent household when you have a mom and a dad.
But bad parent is different. This is, I think, good parents that love their kids and have good intentions. They're just not doing a great job.
Okay.
I just wouldn't call them
fine. Whatever. Parents. Anyway, moving on. They bring,
but the whole movie does kind of hinge on that, because you know what I mean? Because if and that's why I think it is a statement, and it is kind of interesting. Like I said, there are interesting ideas here, but like the statement of, if the parents were doing the job they needed to be doing, then the AI would have never been able to do what the AI does. You know what I mean? And so I think that's the statement kind of on modern families, is that we as parents are letting our kids be raised by technology. Like, maybe not a literal AI machine, but
everybody's got their iPads,
YouTube.
Right. Yeah, they got their stuff. Right. So the movie goes on, and now Aya starts like doing things that the parents don't want her to do. Bribing the kids to do things, suggesting stuff, and then behind the parents,
well, they just think that's a little weird at first.
They think it's a little weird, and then behind the parents,
they don't push back though at any point. Like they didn't, right? And all that feels way too quick. Like this movie, I heard someone say it. Like I heard someone say it, but like there's no middle act to this movie. It's like the beginning and then the end,
right?
Because like that whole section of the movie, the whole movie is short as fuck. Like even with trailers, it's under 90 minutes. I mean, even with the credits, it's under 90 minutes. Like it's a super short movie, which is also very strange to me, because very rarely do I say a movie needed more time, but this movie felt like it needed more time. Like there needed to be more setup and character development, and because it literally goes from like 0 to 60. It's like in a flash.
It's 84 minutes.
It's like, yeah, that's including credits. Like,
right.
It's short. And then there's even that whole weird fake out double opening. So it's like really the meat of this movie is basically an hour.
Right.
And it just needs more. It needs more of, because like what he's saying, like this is literally how quickly it goes. It goes from she's introduced to the family, she gives them a couple simple little things happen, right? And then almost the very next scene, she's ramping everything up.
Right. She's like super evil.
Yeah, there isn't any like slowly things are happening and integrating and she's slowly infecting this family or whatever. It's literally like, here's Aya. Oh, she's amazing. The next scene, David Cho's character or John Cho's character is like going and with a baseball bat smashing what he thinks is the computer.
Right. And
like it's actually the next scene.
Yeah, and then the movie ends. And the movie ends with this weird twist.
Dude,
So what happens?
Weird.
So what happens throughout the movie is like these people wearing these face masks that show these like AI generated scary looking like angry and crying blood emojis. And they're doing these weird like hand signals. And
they wear they like I said, there were some cool ideas, but like one of them was they're wearing those masks that you can program to be whatever image you want, which I thought had potential to be like really cool because I thought Aya was able to like brainwash people, right, which would have been way more interesting. And I like when you first see the creepy, guy with the mask and the trailer across the street and all that shit, which makes no fucking sense because later on in the movie, you find out that that's that couple. And it's like, well, why the hell were they just chilling there in the trailer? And then all of a sudden they come breaking in with guns.
Right. Because Aya told them. So they already don't trust this. They already don't trust this AI, but then they're going to trust that they believe that this new family has been like kidnapping children. And that's what the end of the movie is.
And then at the end of the fucking movie, the little girl comes running up to the parents. These are the same parents that were but these are the same parents that were just holding guns to this family's heads when the SWAT team comes in the house. And you're telling me the SWAT team's going to be like, oh, it's okay. It was just fine. Just a misunderstanding.
Yeah.
Like, not arrested. It's fine.
And then,
you can hug this little girl that comes running up out of nowhere.
And then John Cho's family just accepts that they're going to live with Aya for the rest of their life.
Yeah, and cruises away in a fucking car.
They're just like, all right, I guess this is happening.
Like I said, the final act of this comes out of nowhere, and it's
so dumb. It's so dumb.
There are so many ways you could have ended this movie that would have made it more interesting. I almost feel like they picked the only way that you could end this badly.
So this is one of those movies where like I don't understand why they released this in the summer and they didn't just dump this in January like they dumped Night Swim.
Well, I was talking to Eric, my buddy who's a producer, right? I was talking to him this week and he was saying that he posted something about it on Facebook as well, but I guess August, I didn't know this, but I guess August is like the January. So like summer? There's two times of year where people will just dump movies that they're basically needing to write off. They know aren't great, but they just need to put them out and make whatever they can back, because August is when everybody's focusing on back to school and you've already had these huge blockbusters that were released. And so they're going to dominate everything that comes out. So it's like the worst time to really release a movie. But these are movies where they want them to kind of flop so they can write them off.
They spent $12 million making this.
On what?
Exactly. Exactly.
I don't get it. I've seen Blumhouse do movies that were $1 million that look more expensive than this.
Yeah.
It's got to be the cast. It's got to be the cast.
But who? David Dastmalchian and
John Cho
ate all of it? Ate all of it?
John Cho and Havana Rose Liu.
You think ate up
both up-and-comers.
You think they ate up $12 million?
I think between those three, between Havana Rose Liu, Catherine Watterson, and John Cho, I bet that's probably $6 million.
Yeah, this movie is not making it grossed just over, it grossed over $6.5 million its opening weekend. This movie is not making its budget.
No, but like I said, they're going to write it off anyway. So
yeah. So I wanted to address,
and it kind of makes sense. It kind of makes sense because if you think about it, when did Blumhouse release like the first movie they had this year that was crap that everybody knows they just dumped it? They dumped it in January, and that was Night Swim,
Right.
So it's like they knew it wasn't going to be, there wasn't a lot of marketing. Like they just dumped it. They knew it wasn't going to make much money and they just dumped it into January, right? And then they dumped this one. Like I think the only one that they thought would do well that didn't was Imaginary. But I think even Imaginary made its money.
I'll have to look.
Because I think that the big movies, like I think everybody's attacking Blumhouse, including me. Because like this year has been atrocious. Okay. But I think it kind of it's not how they were. The plan was going to be different. Like, because they were supposed to have their two big movies this year were Speak No Evil and the new Wolfman. But then the Wolfman got pushed because of the writer's strike and everything. It got pushed into the beginning of next year. And so instead of them having that as their October release, like it was originally supposed to be, and Speak No Evil was supposed to be midsummer, they ended up having to make that their biggest release of the year kind of thing, and then just dump out these other trash movies. So as much as I want to attack them, I think that they're aware that these movies aren't great, but they're just trying to be, not lose too much money this year.
Yeah, Imaginary made its money and then some. Imaginary actually did well.
Because they're losing. They're getting just demolished. That Exorcist movie lost them so much fucking money, and they had a lot of eggs in that basket. They expected that to be like Halloween 2018,
over 450 million eggs.
Yeah, and they didn't even come even close. And then they just had to shell out, from what I've heard, a lot of money to get what's his name to direct the next Exorcist?
Flanagan.
My favorite writer or director. So I think as much as I want to attack Blumhouse, I think this is their flux year. So I think that next year will probably be a lot better and we'll start to be like, okay. But Blumhouse has always kind of been up and down. You know, like, well, they never have years where all their movies are hits. I think it's just because the last few have been so bad, it really feels that way. But they just need to stop with the fast food horror.
Yeah.
Like,
they really do.
You know,
but that's
like
what they made their
trying
money
to get
on.
all the preteens.
Why would they do that? That's what they made their money on.
Well, it's because like last year they made a shit ton of money from Freddy
Five Nights at Freddy's.
Five Nights at Freddy's.
Yeah.
So and Megan. So like last year they had both those that were huge hits. And I think that's all of a sudden they were like, whoa, shit, we didn't realize we have such a teen audience. Let's pump more of these out. But unfortunately, these ones are like half fucking baked. Like you need to spread these out. Like that's the problem. They need to spread these out. It's like, it's fine if you release, you know, these movies, right? But release like, you know, one of them and then release a well-made, like more thought out, more, you know, money involved, whatever movie for adults, whatever, an R-rated good movie. And then, you know, so like, it's okay to release these, but when that's all you're releasing, you know, like this year, 3 in a row have been, but
they struck out this year.
The only thing they have left is Speak No Evil, which I have heard is really good. But I'm still very skeptical because I'm like, there's no need to remake that movie.
I am also very skeptical. The trailers do not do it any service.
No, it looks exactly like the original version, but just in English.
Yeah.
But which one do you think is the worst? Like of the 3 this year? You've seen all 3, right? Night Swim, Imaginary, and now AfrAId?
Yeah. Oh, AfrAId is definitely the worst of these 3.
I don't think so.
I
still think Night Swim.
I was going to say it's
because at least this movie took chances.
It's a toss-up between those two. Well,
because this Night Swim, what got me was just how boring it was. There was like nothing to it. It felt like an episode of Goosebumps level story.
There's nothing to this movie.
It tried. No, but there are at least some ideas here. Like there with like better writing, maybe more time, probably more time is all this movie needed. But like, I think there are some cool ideas that could have been an interesting. It could have been interesting. Like they took chances. It wasn't like Night Swim. There's no chances there. It's literally they took a 4-minute short and made it into a movie.
No, I understand, but like in AfrAId, they literally.
I mean, it's still bad versus
Aya.
bad. I'm not trying to say that this movie's good.
I understand, but I would say that AfrAId for me is worse than Night Swim. I mean, like they're both terrible, but if I had to pick one, I would say AfrAId was.
I mean, at least Night
worse.
Swim had some creepy imagery.
Yeah,
you know,
I was definitely more scared of what was at the bottom of the pool of Night Swim than I was.
Yeah, so I guess
the robot that you can unplug.
I know,
and they show it in the movie. You can just unplug her.
I know. What? But then she's like, I'm basically everywhere. I'm in the internet. Like I am the internet. Like that's kind of the whole big twist or whatever. Is that nobody made Aya? We basically all did. We created her.
Right,
in the internet somehow.
The data set was
like
okay.
And so unplugging her shouldn't really do anything because she's everywhere all the time. But for some reason at that part of the movie, you could just unplug her.
Yeah, like I said, it's a
my
stupid movie.
God. I know it probably is nothing to a lot of people, but this made me so fucking mad. Because if you're going to talk about AI and you're going to talk about smart computers, you're talking about quantum computing, all of that, right? And they have a quantum computer in this. You got to do a little research, guys. It's not that hard. And yet they have a fucking quantum computer just hanging there in this glass chamber. And if you've done any research in quantum computing at all, you know that that's actually inside of this like way below freezing chamber that's colder than anywhere in the universe. It like has to be artificially cold, and it's like crazy. I forget how low it is, but it's like insane low temperatures to process.
Right.
It's such a simple thing. Like, but they just have it hanging there like it's a chandelier.
Right.
And then he starts beating on it and realizes, it's cardboard.
Yeah, but it's fake. So like, where is it? If this is actually what she is, where is it?
But that's the thing. It's on the internet, which means unplugging it shouldn't do anything at all. Like two things can't both exist.
This movie's so dumb. But I wanted to address
like make up your mind movie. It felt like Halloween Ends to me, where it felt like too many even though this is supposedly written by one guy,
written and directed.
I don't know how that's possible because it really does feel like there's multiple writers that couldn't agree on shit. Like my issues with Halloween Ends is the same thing where it didn't feel like you had three different people and all of them wanted something different. And then instead of them figuring out a common, ground, they just kind of said, we'll just kind of put all of our ideas here.
It's a confused, bad writer who doesn't know what movie he's making. Even though he wrote
I just feel like he had no time. It really does. Everybody says this. Everybody says this all the time. And I heard someone say this. I don't know who it was, but someone said it actually feels like it really was written by AI. And they should have done that. I think that would have made this movie so much more interesting if they came out and said this movie was actually written by AI.
Yeah, maybe.
I would give them way more respect. I would actually think this is a much more interesting movie if that was the case.
Yeah. I don't know. It's this movie's bad. And I knew it was going to be bad.
Like everybody whenever you read an AI story, I knew I went into this expecting it to be as bad as it is. But what happened is in the first act, especially, I got a little hope. I was like, okay, this isn't too bad. There's some kind of interesting ideas here. And then it just, And that's why it frustrated me more than I think like Night Swim and Imaginary. Like Imaginary is definitely the better of the three, I think. Like because like Imaginary had some ideas and tried some things. It's just, how you gonna do a horror movie where no one really dies?
Right. And you show your scariest scene in the trailer.
And this, you know what? When I think about it, this did that shit too.
Well, one death.
Hold on. Did Night Swim? Did anybody besides one person die in Night Swim?
I honestly, I don't remember.
Because only one
Probably not.
character, like a nobody character, dies in Imaginary, and the same in this. Only one character, a nobody, dies in this.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I heard people talking about this, that it literally feels like they're just using the same script and trying to keep packaging it, because it really is the same story as Megan.
Yeah.
You know, it's like the same. Like, that was the other thing. Even the voice sounds just like Megan. Like, isn't that the same actress? I feel like the same actress that voices Aya in this is the same that does Megan. If it's not, it just still feels like the exact same voice.
So the voice was, what's her name? Havana Rose Liu, right?
Yeah.
And she voiced.
No, it looks like
it's
it
not
was
her.
someone else.
Yeah, it's not her. It's somebody else.
I was not a big fan of Megan like everybody else. Like it was not on my top 10 of the year, and I got a lot of people.
I thought it was a very.
I'm like, it's just,
I thought it was a very
generic.
I thought it was a very mid movie. Yeah,
it was fun. Like, that's the kind of movie I am totally good with for the PG-13, like preteen audience. You know, it's not really scary. It's just a real, but for, like, if I was, you know, a 10, 12, 13-year-old, like, that would have been cool as an entry horror movie. Like, there was just enough to me in that movie. But the problem is everything after that has been more and more diluted. It feels like a copy of a copy of a copy of a copy. Like, each one feels like they're a copy of another copy, and it gets more and more, which
every time you
Xerox,
does
that actually happen in a computer? I always wonder that. Like, a file, it doesn't happen with computers, right? Like, if you have an image file and you copy that image file, it's just as good the second time, right? There is no degradation in computers.
There is quality loss. If you're like, if I were to download an image and then send it to you, there'd be quality loss. And then if you were to send that to
that's just because you're compressing it. If you were to copy the actual,
you just copy it, then
file, I don't think it changes.
Yeah, there wouldn't be any quality loss from there if you're just making infinite copies.
Yeah, like when you
so I think what you're trying to say is this is more like, I think what you're trying to say is this movie feels like one script, and then it like when you take a picture and then like you Xerox it, and then you Xerox that and Xerox that and Xerox that, like then that's gonna be quality.
That's exactly what it feels like. It feels like you're literally diluting it more every time.
Yeah.
You know, and I know some of that is because we've seen these. You know, like if you're a 13-year-old kid and you haven't seen Megan or Imaginary or Night Swim or whatever, and this is your first one, you might be like, oh, this is you know, this is good. You know what I mean? It's funny because now all these movies have made Tarot look so much better.
Right.
And I hated that movie. But at least that movie like was a little bit scary, kind of. At least had scary imagery and some interesting like mask, and you know, like that I could kind of see as a kid being like, this is cool.
Was Tarot PG-13?
But I don't even think little kids would think that this movie was anything. I honestly don't. Like, I don't see how this would even come close to scaring any like 12, 13-year-old.
Yeah, Tarot was PG-13. Wow. I guess that makes sense. All right, well, that's gonna do us. That's 1 hour.
At least Tarot people died.
Yeah, that's true. So you got some horror there.
So as much as I'm, you know, we're shitting all over this movie, if you enjoyed it, that's fine. Like, I hate that when people feel like hurt or whatever when they like the movie and we shit on it, or I shit on it, whatever. And it's like, you know, it's different strokes for different folks. But like I was just saying, it also has to do with how many movies we see. You know, like I said, if you had, you know, if you like, if you're a kid and you had never seen all these, you know, it's like Five Nights at Freddy's. A lot of kids love the hell out of this movie, but if you've seen a ton of horror, like I have, it's literally copying a whole bunch of other movies. There's nothing new at all, or original, or fresh, or anything in that movie, which is why I didn't wasn't raving about Five Nights at Freddy's.
I guess what I would
So-
say to that is, if you like this movie, I would love to know why. I would love to know. I would love for you to point out to me what you thought was good about it, like what you thought was quality, what you thought was scary, which, like, that's obviously subjective, but I'd at least like to know
I haven't seen
why.
anybody say they liked this movie. Like in my review on the comments, I haven't seen anybody saying that they thought this movie was good, but I've seen some people say they enjoyed it.
Well, that's two different things, right? Liking a movie and a movie being good. Like, there's, it's.
And I
like
do
a lot
think
of bad movies,
on a
like,
bad,
that.
I do think on a bad movie level, and that's why, and I remember why I think this movie's better than Night Swim, because I at least was entertained and laughed and like literally out loud. Me and numerous people were like talking shit to the movie, especially at the end. And that's a much more fun experience than struggling to stay awake in Night Swim.
Right. Yeah, no, I get it. All right.
So, is it
that's going to do
as far as a more quality movie? Yeah. Night Swim is probably the better quality movie, but at least
so if you liked AfrAId, let us know why. We'd love to know. But but anyway, otherwise, leave us a comment on this video. Let us know. We'll respond. And excuse me.
Watch Milk and Cereal on YouTube.
Okay.
It's a full-length movie made by a YouTuber, posted on his channel, and it's got like 600,000 views at this point. It's like going viral. It's really good. It's found footage, but it's really cool. It's just like, it really took me back to that old school way of making movies, like so many young filmmakers do, where it's just literally their own camera they own and a bunch of their buddies. Like they said, they spent $300 to make this movie, but it is genuinely, like, especially the final act in this is genuinely disturbing and does some things and goes directions I did not expect. I was actually really impressed with this, especially for something that, like, it's cool because they were offered, like, studios offered to put this out, but they finally just said, you know what? We're just going to take our chances and put it on our own channel. And it fits because it feels like you're watching YouTubers, because the whole thing is.
They also did The Chair. I'm looking at them right now. The Chair.
Yeah.
They did that short film, which was pretty good. That has
but they're basically in this movie. It's a couple YouTubers that are like prank YouTubers. And that is such a big thing right now of these young people doing all this pranks on people, and a lot of it going wrong. Like there was that kid that got shot a few months back because he did a prank on some guy, and he was like,
yeah.
And so they kind of go in that direction, and then they do things with it you're not really going to expect. But so it really works that it's on YouTube, because it like feels like what it is. You know what I mean? It's YouTubers making a movie about YouTubers making episodes. So.
All right. Well, I'll watch it. All right. We got to get out of here.
Yep.
So thanks everybody for watching. Please, please, please subscribe to the Screaming Room. Watch us on Screaming Room. We would really love to see you guys on that channel. So if you like what you saw today, if you didn't like what you saw, thanks for sticking around.
Yep. We encourage you yelling and calling DJ names in the comments.
Yes.
That makes us happy every week.
We like that. I like it.
It generally makes me laugh. Like, people, they freaking hate you, man.
Hey, I'm sorry they like bad movies, and I tell them that the movies they like are bad.
I know, but the last 2 weeks we've been simpatico, man. Like, me and you have been on the same page, so I'm sure that'll change very soon.
And it'll happen. It's all right. It's all right.
Oh, we didn't even get to talk about Strange Darling, dude.
Oh, we didn't. We'll do that.
Finally saw that.
Yeah, we'll do that. What do you mean finally? I saw opening weekend, didn't I? No, I didn't.
Yeah.
I
came
did
out last week. It's just I've seen it. I saw it like 3-4 weeks ago. So
I know you get to see movies early because you're cool and I'm not. I know.
No, I just happened to see this one early. I don't get.
Yeah, no. We'll talk about it next week. But yeah, Strange Darling.
Yeah, next week.
Very, very good. So we'll talk about that. All right. Thanks everybody. We will see y'all next week. Okay, bye.